there again, BookTube, Leanne here, and welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be recording my June wrap up. So I'll be telling you all the books I've read in June, which is a lot because I've been taking part in 2 readathons. That would be the Olympic Shelf Space readathon and the Whatever You Want-a-thon. And yeah, I have actually read a total of 17 books, which is crazy for me. That's like at least 3 times more than what I normally read. So I'm extremely proud of myself for what I've accomplished this month. And though some of them are comics, I have squeezed them in between novels, and the comics that I read, most of them were quite big comics. So I'm really happy with what I've read this month, and I've read some fantastic books and spoken to some amazing people. So I'm so happy I joined these readathons. And let's crack straight into the books I've read. So the first book I read, because I read the first 3 volumes at the end of May, was Heartstopper Volume 4. This is my first time reading it, and boy did I cry. I sobbed a lot during this book. The second half of it predominantly just made my heart ache, and I'm not going to say much about it because, like I say, it's the 4th volume in the Heartstopper series by Alice Oseman. But if you know, you know. And I just love Nick and Charlie so much. I love Charlie's sister, I love Nick's dog, and I love their friendship group. So I adore this book, and I gave it a 5-star. And this was to fulfill the Aphrodite prompt in the Shelf Space Readathon because it's got a beautiful cover. And in the Whatever-a-thon, it fulfilled the prompt for the pride flag because it reminds me of the bisexual pride flag because of the pink and the purple. It was also a buddy read, like we have a buddy group on Discord where we've been discussing this. And it also explores mental illness, so that fulfilled 3 prompts for the Whatever-a-thon. The next book I read was The Prince and the Dressmaker by Jen Wang, and this is gorgeous. I'm not even joking. This is such a brilliant book. It's got this gorgeous artwork inside. I gave this a 4 out of 5 stars. It was very, very lovely, and I just enjoyed it. It was so cute and so nice. And it's about this prince here and the seamstress. This seamstress in the beginning is working for quite cheap as far as I'm aware, and somebody comes in and asks for something really, really scandalous to be made, even though it's probably not proper to do such a thing. But then lots of very important people see the work that she's done, and the seamstress ends up getting hired, and she's working for the prince. And what happens is that the prince likes to dress in women's clothing, mostly at night, and I think he's either like gender fluid or something along those lines, and I think he performs at some point as well, so he's kind of a drag queen, and at night and during some days he becomes Lady Christella, and it's all about them trying to keep it a secret. So this is a stunning, stunning book. This fulfilled the Apollo prompt for reading a book in a different format because it's a comic. It also fulfills the hold in the past year for the Whatever-a-thon, as well as a 5-star prediction. It didn't quite hit the 5-star prediction for me, but it's a brilliant, beautiful book, and I really enjoyed it. The next book I read was Cinderella is Dead by Callan Bayron, I think her name is. And this was a really nice little book about, well, I say nice, it's a book about women being extremely second-class citizens, like to the point where men pretty much own all of the women that exist in the society, and they have to go to a ball when they reach the age of either 16 or 18, I can't quite remember, and when they reach their age they have to attend this ball where they are hopefully, and I say that with, they are hopefully chosen by a man to be married, and if they're not, they're kind of dragged off and not heard from again. But this is like after 3 tries. Like if after 3 tries they don't get chosen to be married, they either have to go and work on a very core place, I can't quite remember where, or they have to basically be taken away, and we don't understand what's happening to them. These women just disappear. And so we're exploring the whole concept of why women are treated like this and what's happening to these women that we'd never see again, and basically strong women in a society of women being second class and owned by men, basically. And it's a really, really interesting concept, and I really liked the story we follow of the two main characters. And yeah, I would say read it because it might be for you. I only gave it a 3 stars personally because it was a bit predictable for me. I kind of knew what was coming, but yeah, it was a nice little read and I enjoyed it. This book was to fulfill the Zeus prompt in the Olympic readathon. It also fulfilled the poll prompt in the whatever-a-thon because it won a what should I read first kind of poll. It also fulfilled my POC representation prompt, and it is a debut novel, so that's 3 prompts sorted for the whatever-a-thon. After that, I felt like a good old reread was coming up, and so I read Gideon the Ninth by Tamsin Moore. I am dying to get the physical version of this because I've heard that reading the physical version is so much better because you can flip to the front where all the names are, and there's loads of stuff like information you can flick to whilst you're reading. So I do want to get the physical of this and Harrow and the last one when that comes out. But anyway, this is described as lesbian necromancers in space, which I don't think that's a wonderful tagline for it because the first book isn't that. I would more put that tagline on the second book personally, because that whole thing comes into play a lot more in the second book. Anyway, Gideon the Ninth is basically about a cavalier and her necromancer. Gideon is the cavalier and Harrow is the necromancer, and they basically have to go to a different planet and try and become like these. I've forgotten the word now. They are basically going to this planet with people from all the other houses. So there's like 9 houses, and they are all trying to become like people who help the emperor. I can't remember the word. They try and help the emperor in the war that's taking part in the sci-fi world. But we don't really know much about what's happening out in space right now. We're just focusing on the people who are trying to prove themselves. And so they have to fulfill all these tasks, and it's kind of sci-fi. It's got a mixture of fantasy in there. It's also got some mystery floating around. And guys, 5 star. I couldn't give it anything other than a 5 star. This was chef's kiss. This book was perfection, and I really, really thoroughly enjoyed Gideon the Ninth. Like I say, this is my second read through, and upon second read through, much more is understood. And I adore the humour. I love the book. I love everything about it, and yeah, this book is perfection to me, and I will read it again and again. I have found a new favourite author in Tamsin Moore, and I'm so happy. So like I said, this was my 5 star read. It fulfills the Hermes prompt because there's travel taking part in the book. It also fulfills a reread prompt for the whatever-a-thon, as well as a buddy read again, because we can double up on prompts or we can repeat prompts for more points. And it also fulfills my team colour because I'm on team epic and high, and the team colour is black, and the Gideon the Ninth cover is pretty much mostly black. So again, 3 prompts fulfilled. And so moving on to the next book, one of the main reasons I read Gideon was so that I could move on to Harrow the Ninth. So this was my next read of the month. And again, I was amazed at Harrow the Ninth. I was confused as hell about 90% of the book, but it wasn't a bad thing. But yeah, I was so confused because there's this whole thing. I can't really say because I don't want to spoil things, but there's like certain themes that take place that just make the book so confusing, but I loved every moment of being confused reading this book. And that sounds like such a weird thing to say, but it was perfection. Another 5-star read. Again, Tam Zimmer, a new favourite author, and I cannot wait for the third book in this series because I just want to see what she's going to throw at us next. But I can't say much about this because it's a sequel, but it blew my mind. It was genius. This was the work of a genius. I can't say anything more than that. 5 stars, and this fulfilled the Hades prompt. So double points for Team Hades because you got double points for fulfilling your team prompt. For the whatever-a-thon, it fulfilled my 5-star prediction, which I was perfectly right with that because it was 5 stars. It also fulfilled the prompt to match the first letter of this book to the book that I last read. So Gideon the Ninth ends with a H, Harrow the Ninth begins with a H, and so that fulfilled that prompt. And this was also a buddy read on the same server as the Gideon. So we had both book read throughs. So I was very excited to be able to talk to people about these two books because they are amazing and I love them. And then I went ahead and reread a book, another one. That was The House in the Cerulean Sea by TJ Klune. And like I say, I already know I love this book. And I told myself I wasn't going to cry this time around, but I did again and again and again. This book is the most wholesome thing I've ever read in my entire life. Those children who live in the house are so amazing, and I love the humour in this book. I love the found family aspect of this book, and this was just my entire life. I like my heart and I love it. It's just beautiful, and I highly, highly recommend this book. I gave it a 5 stars, absolutely. It also filled the Poseidon prompt because it's set on an island surrounded by water. You have to cross part of the sea to get to it, and the sea does actually play a prominent part, so that definitely ticked off the Poseidon prompt. This also fulfilled 2 prompts for the whatever-a-thon, so it was a buddy read, and I was really excited to be able to talk to people about this book again because it is just so wonderful and it's so good to see other people experiencing the same thing. And it was also a tick for the reread, so I was so happy. And obviously after the gore and horror that is Gideon and Harrow, wonderful as it is, it was just so nice to read something like fluffy and light and nice, and it just felt like a big hug. And I want the physical copy of this book so I can give it a big hug. So the next book I read was The Crooked Kingdom, and that's by Leigh Bardugo. Another brilliant book. I thoroughly enjoyed it. I personally prefer Six of Crows, and I don't know if that's like an unpopular opinion or anything like that, but personally I enjoyed the story of Six Crows more. Character-wise, I loved the progression of relationships in this book and how the relationships worked between the characters. I also loved that there was LGBT themes in this book more so, and yeah, I adored this book. I gave it a 4 stars. I think Six of Crows got 5 stars from me, but this one's a 4. This fulfilled the next prompt for the second book in a duology, or the last book in a series. But yeah, this also completed 3 prompts for the whatever-a-thon. It was a poll pick, it was a 5-star prediction, even though it didn't fulfill that 5-star, and it fulfilled the team colour prompt. And then I thought after that I would read a light, smaller book, or what I thought was a light, smaller book, and that was The Empress of Salt and Fortune by Nevo. This was not a light book. I think I had to actually read it twice to let it all sink in, and I managed to read it twice on the same day. But there was a lot of stuff in this book in this short amount of, in a small amount of pages. I only gave it a 3-star for this one because I think it was a bit too complex for me to kind of let sink in, especially during a readathon when I'm reading quite a few books. I'll say this having read Harrow. But yeah, I just don't think this book vibed with me wonderfully. I liked certain aspects of it. It had LGBT themes and all that kind of stuff, but only kind of wasn't like prominent. It was kind of hinted at more than anything. But yeah, I don't think I'd read this again, and I'm not sure whether I'm actually going to carry on or not. I felt like I needed more time with the characters, and if the second one has that, maybe, but I don't know yet. We'll see. But yeah, this was a 3-star book, and it fulfilled the EOS prompt, and that was for the first book in a series, and it also fulfilled the team colour prompt for the Whatever-a-thon. So after I did that, I went on a bit of a comic kick for a couple of days. And I read the first 2 volumes of I Hate Fairyland. So volume 1 was to fulfill the Demeter prompt, which was to read a book with food on the cover. And when I say it was to read a book with food on the cover, this was the food. And I know it's a push, but like it's food, there are mushrooms, and there's ice cream somewhere on that cover as well. Yep, there. Yeah, I wouldn't want to eat it. But these 2 comics are just brilliant, and I love the humour. And there's this little girl who's supposed to be all cute and innocent, but she's kind of not. And you'll see why if you read it. I mean, you can kind of see by the cover that she's not really cute and innocent. She's kind of evil looking, evil acting also. I highly recommend these. I've given them a 4 out of 5 stars. But again, I highly recommend them. They are very quick reads and they are just fantastic. Like I said, this one fulfilled the Demeter prompt. They both also fulfilled the team colour prompt because there is black on both of the colours, I guess. Covers, I guess. So, yeah. So after this, I read Saga Volume 1 and Saga Volume 2 by Brian Vaughan, I think his name is. And I really enjoyed these. These were another 4 out of 5 stars, both of them. And I loved the characters. Like, I love how it's a couple on the run with a newborn baby. I think that's like a really, really interesting concept. Like, how often do you see anything like that in anything? Like, in a big adventure, scary people are coming to hunt you and try and kill you kind of thing, and there's a baby whose life is on the line as well. It's kind of very tense all the way through because anything could happen. But I really, really enjoyed this, and I thought it was just such an amazing concept, and all the different characters that are in it. Like, there's people who have screens as their heads, and they can like show their emotions through the actual screen, which was a weird concept, but it's cool. And I just loved all the different like interstellar stuff. I'm not like great with sci-fi lingo yet, so you'll have to bear with me on that one. But I thought this was really cool, and there's like the main couple are on opposite sides of the war as well, so that was a really interesting concept on why people are trying to hunt them down and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, highly recommend these 2. They were great. These 2 didn't really fulfill a Olympus prompt, but they did fulfill some Whatever-a-thon prompts. So these were books from the fave list. It's one of the booktubers' faves, and I can't specifically remember who right now, but I know it's somebody's favourite books from the fave list. So both of them fulfilled that prompt. And the first one also included the team colour for Epic and I, and the second one, oh no, and they were both buddy reads, so one of them got more than the other on the point system. So yes, I read both those and really enjoyed them. So then I picked up another book on audio, on script, and that was Cryer's War by Nina Varela. This one was like a 3.5 star for me. I don't know if it was because I was not quite in the right headspace for this one specifically or something along those lines, but I think 3.5 stars is still quite good. But yeah, this one is about there's a human and somebody who's been built by humans. I'm not sure if she's like, or if they're like robotic or like both robotic and flesh. It's maybe something along those lines. But yeah, the automatrons, is that what they're called? I can't remember. But they are like higher up in society now, and humans work for them. And basically, it's like a sapphic romance between the two main characters, and it's obviously not allowed. And they have to kind of battle through that, as well as a lot of like history that they have between their peoples and trying to get past that. Also, the human girl has got to kill the automatronic robot one, and yeah, instead she's falling for her, so she can't do it, and it kind of deals with all that. So yeah, again, I can't remember most of the plot, so you know, it's not really memorable for me. That's why I gave it a 3.5 star. But yes, this fulfilled the Athena prompt, which is a political intrigue book, which this very, very much was. And then it also fulfilled a buddy read prompt because there was a group buddy read for this book too. So that was awesome. And then after that, I went into another little comic kick and I read Space Battle Lunchtime, which I did not think I was actually going to get to this month, but then it was, I think it was either on sale or quite cheap on Comixology. So I grabbed it and it was a fun little read. I enjoyed it. It was like Ready Steady Cook or a cooking show in space, and not quite Ready Steady Cook because it's a big competition. But yeah, it's a girl from a woman from a little cafe on Earth going up against like a load of alien teams, well, aliens, um, cooking and doing these dishes with ingredients like we've never even heard of, and they have to kind of try and make it work. And there's also like sabotage and stuff like that. I gave this a 3.5 stars too because it wasn't like wow amazing, but it was fun and I enjoyed it. So yeah, it was a fun little read. So this fulfilled the Artemis prompt because there was night on the cover. It's kind of space, but it's night sky, so I count that. I could have had this for the Demeter prompt, but I didn't, so I'd already used that up, so I used Artemis instead. And then the cover also reminded me of the lesbian pride flag because it's very pink and orangey, and it also had the team colour on it because it had the black night sky in the background. So I finished that book and really enjoyed that too. And then after that, I saw this other really cute comic called the Tea Dragon Society. I've heard quite a few people talk about it on YouTube, and it was super cute, and it had sapphic theme in it, and it was just a really cute little book with these adorable little dragons that grow tea on their bodies, and they train to take care of these dragons, and it's adorable, and I loved it. This fulfilled the Dionysus prompt because it had red on the cover. Like on the cover, they're sitting on like this red blanket, so I think the cover's really cute. And I rated this 5 stars because it was just the most adorable, and I wanted Tea Dragon really, really bad. I specifically want an Earl Grey one because that's my favourite tea. There isn't an Earl Grey one in the book, but I want one. It also fulfilled the 5-star prediction prompt as well as disability in the book because there is a character in a wheelchair. Hi there again, I'm back here in less good quality. So I forgot to mention that I read A Sweet and Bitter Magic by Adrian Tooley, and I really, really enjoyed this book, so I really don't understand why I forgot to mention it. This book I gave a 4.5 out of 5 stars rather. It fulfilled the hero prompt because it features a queendom, and it also fulfilled the buddy read prompt for the whatever-a-thon. This book was beautiful. It had a sapphic romance throughout the book. It was an enemies to lovers, which actually worked for a change. I I kind of have a hit and miss relationship with enemies to lovers, so I don't know. But it really worked in this book, and I really enjoyed their characters and their relationship and what they went through together. And it's basically about two witches. One of them uses love in her dealings with people, so she trades whatever somebody might need, normally some kind of healing, for somebody in dire need, and she will take their love for somebody, she'll basically completely ruin a relationship with somebody so that she can feel, because she's been cursed into not feeling things, and that includes like tasting things and enjoying things. So yeah, I really, really enjoyed this book, and it's kind of sad that it's a standalone because I would love to spend more time in this world. But yeah, sorry that I forgot to mention that, and I don't know why I forgot, because it was like one of the best books I read this month. One of. I read lots of good books this month. And last but not least, I read The Long Way to a Small Angry Planet by Becky Chambers. This has been recommended to me quite a bit, and I really, really have been wanting to get into sci-fi a lot more, and this was perfection. I have realised recently that I am a very character-driven reader, and if the characters are amazing, then that builds the book up so well for me. I love following amazing characters, and this book just did that for me. These characters were perfection, and I loved them. Every last one of them, eventually, even Corbin, Laship. And you're not supposed to like him at first, but somehow I ended up liking him anyway. But yes, this was a gorgeous book. It ended up a 4-star read for me, which is brilliant, and I adored. I think my favourite characters were Kizzy and Sussex. They were awesome characters and I loved them. Another Sapphic book. It's got a lot of LGBT content in it actually, so there's lots to explore with that. It's just kind of there. Nobody really cares about if anybody's in like LGBT or not. It's just normal to be that way, especially with how many like different peoples there are in the universe. I think it's very, very normalised at this point. But this fulfilled the Hestia prompt for me. It is a book about found family, and it absolutely is. And I think I'm just a sucker for the found family trope, to be honest, because I adored it. And I adore a lot of books that fulfill that, because The Six of Crows was one of them, and I adore that. And also The House on the Cerulean Sea is found family, and I adore that. So I must be a sucker for it because I love it so much. This was also the prompt for me reading a book outside of my comfort zone, because I'm reading sci-fi now, and that's been outside of my comfort zone for a long time, and I didn't realise that I would actually love it. So I'm really getting into the sci-fi vibe now, and I'm excited to carry on with more sci-fi. And it also features my team colour again. I think that's probably my most used prompt for the whatever-a-thon this month. But yeah, that's everything I read. I've really, really enjoyed these readathons, and I just want to say thank you for everybody on my team, everybody who's run the readathons. Like, you are all amazing people and you've worked so hard, and I just want you to know that I recognise how much hard work you guys have put into the readathons. I've enjoyed every moment and I've made some brilliant friends. So thank you so much for letting me join in. And this was these were my first ever readathons, so I've had an amazing time and I look forward to more in the future. To all of you, thank you so much for watching another video. That ends my, I can't believe it's the end of June and I've finished a readathon, but that has June coming to an end, and I will see you guys in my next video. For now, happy reading. TTFN, bye!